Perfect. Make sure that I got all my audio off on all my other computer. Give it a couple minutes, guys, and we'll get started. I anticipate you'll have a lot of questions, man.
not too much.
Oh, look, Matthew. Can you see the comments on your computer?
No.
If you look at the very right corner.
Yes, I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Matthew Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Hey, Matthew. This shows an American. Just playing, buddy. All right, guys. We'll just give it a second. We'll let a couple people jump on, and we got Rodolphe from Rc Discharger on here. Mr. Frenchie.
Hello.
So, hope everyone's having a phenomenal Tuesday. Yeah, your charger is much more predominantly viewed than mine. You can't really even see mine, so
maybe remove the charge cable.
We'll just use yours. Now I understand why you made that color blue.
I prefer red, but the charger is blue.
Yeah, it's pretty color.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matthew. I don't know what it's like in Cali, but man, it's hotter than hell here. Just really humid. So we'll give it one more minute and we're going to go and get started. Any of you guys that got comments that are already jumped on or questions, go ahead and start dropping them on here. I'm sure a lot of them I can't answer, but we got the guy that can. Oh, yeah. Texas, 108 degrees.
Yeah.
How hot is it where you're at, bud?
I don't know. Less, I guess. It was 75.
Oh, that's
75.
Not bad. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. So, good evening, guys. Thanks for jumping on. We've got Ralphie from, well, I keep saying Ralphie. I don't know why I say that, but Rodolphe from Rc Discharger. He is a newer U.S. citizen. You just moved over here from France about 10 years ago?
In 2016.
2016? So he does have a very strong accent. So, just work with us. But a lot of the stuff that pertains with the Rc Discharger, you and I have been working together for a while now, and the information that you have brought into this device, it's really remarkable. I was just talking with Matthew Gonzalez the other day, and he had some initial struggles with it. But I think it was all just setup and adjustments that were just not done in the iCharger itself. But now, I saw his post the other day. He absolutely loves the device and thinks it's remarkable. So, do you want to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself? Oh yeah, Matthew says user error. Which I'm not sure if you know this, but he's got the best iCharger in America. That's why he won't get rid of it. It's not the newer one, but It is. It's definitely a really good one. So, but yeah. So go ahead and just give us a little bit about your background and kind of how you came up with this device.
Yeah, hi everyone. I am Rodolphe Bedu, the designer of Rc Discharger. I do Rc since 25 years ago. I did everything, drones, helicopter, planes, cars. In France, I did more 110 touring cars. I always wanted more power. I did custom motors, custom ESCs. I put in 10 scale, I put 3S, 4S. We did a lot of custom parts to handle the increased power. In 2016, I moved to USA and I discovered the iCharger and the cycling. Inspired by its potential, I decided to make my own discharger bank. I designed my first all-in-one product. Donc it was just a discharge bank with more power in an enclosure with the same, almost the same size, little bigger than this one. I don't have here. After that, I recognize the opportunity to make a better discharger. I did my first prototype of regenerative discharger. It was in 2018. Donc the first discharger, the first regenerative discharger duo was this one, little bigger than the new one.
Okay, so that's the version 1.
Yeah, exactly. The one you had 5 years ago.
Well, the one I had.
Yeah. And what can I say? Sorry. Sorry, it's my first time and in English.
No, you're good. You're good,
Little,
man.
and
You know, I mean,
donc,
go ahead.
yeah. So you discover my product 5 years ago. We contact me to talk about it. We decided to collaborate and to work together. But with the pandemic and personal challenge, I had to stop Rc Discharger. My brother in France continued. He took care of Europe. We had in France, we had a lot of champions in 110 touring mode, 1.8 off-road, 1.8 on-road. It was in 21, 22, 2023. We have the champion of Europe in touring stock junior. Yeah, we have a lot of champions. And 2 years ago, I decided to do the new version. My customer wanted a smaller discharger. And I started to make the new version 2 years ago. And with the pandemic, we had a lot of problem on power supply. The power supply everyone use. This one, like everyone. The power supply is less reliable than before. Donc I decided to make a smaller product and lighter to make my own AC power supply. You can see here. Donc it's a shorter than the other. You can see the size of that. The difference of size. We don't see really well.
So do you make that power? Do you make that power supply by scratch, or is that so that basic? Go ahead.
No, it's not a power supply. It's why I say more AC, because to make my product more reliable and smaller, I integrated the electronic of the regenerative discharger inside the AC. It's not a AC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's more than a power supply. You can't use the standard power supply that everyone uses. it was a solution to do a smaller product to make a custom AC. Yeah.
So the version, you've got the version 1, and then you obviously have the new version 2, which you're correct. It is much more compact. It is definitely a lot lighter. I think it's what you said, about 20% lighter.
20 ounce.
Okay.
Yeah, 20%. It's same because it was 100. Yeah.
So I mean, one of the biggest things that a lot of people have reached out to us through our website or whatever have you, have been wanting to know. Obviously, you have these, these external discharge banks that are just big resistors with fans, or I've seen some other ones out there that are different designs, but essentially they all do the same thing. They're just just sucking the power that the iCharger is distributing through your discharge. What is the difference between this model and then if I have a discharger that comes out of your channels, where this is all doing it through your input?
The difference, you don't use the second output, so we can cycle 2 batteries at the same time. Discharge, charge, you do what you want. The efficiency is way more better. At the same speed of cycle, 40 amps, 45 amps, you will get a better internal resistor. You have to do nothing, just you use it and you get a better internal resistor because we don't use resistor.
And now, does the consumer have to do any kind of maintenance with the 6S battery that you include with the unit? Is there anything that they need to do in that sense, or is it all self-sustained?
You have to do nothing. It's why I make the regenerative discharger. Before it was inside here, but now it's in the AC. The discharger will take care of the battery. You have to do nothing. Every customer since 6 years has always the same discharger, the same battery. You don't have to change the battery every year. I also, if I wanted also to do a new version, it's because the battery are getting better in our car. Now we can have 10,000. So on the first version, you can see this is the older battery, 6 years old. You can see how the battery is not flat anymore, swell. It's why I had to make a better version to handle the bigger battery of today.
Oh, okay.
And also, because we have also a bigger battery, I had to put more power in my discharger.
Yeah, and I noticed that with the previous model, obviously we've already discussed the weight difference and whatnot. The 3D printed aspect of it is much more at a lower, much more of a, I guess, a lower center of gravity design. It's much more compact. Is that because a lot of the components are now in the what I would call the power supply?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I mean, so I guess what besides the ability to utilize both of your channels here, a couple of things that I've noticed with using this is that it does on a discharge, it does rapidly increase to the 45 amps much quicker than a traditional discharger. Is that one of the benefits that you saw when you were designing this?
It's the difference. It's inside the iCharger. It's not about my product. Just the efficiency is way better if you do regenerative discharge than discharge bank.
Okay, so it's more so the method of how it's being discharged than the unit itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like one of the biggest things is like I've talked to a couple people and I've explained to them that, in my personal opinion, I think that this unit here brings your A, B, and C version of charging. So you have this, which is the top tier, the Mecca, and then you have your discharge bank. That's your external discharge bank, and then you have just your regular iCharger with no discharger, or your regular whatever charger it is that you use, whether it's a Gens Ace or whatever have you. So now you have the three different versions, and obviously this is a much more expensive version, but it does have its benefits for those that are looking for that extra ounce of power, I guess you could say.
Alors, I'm not agreeing with that because the regenerative discharger, it's the only discharger compatible with all iCharger. If you take the version 2S, it's a little cheaper, with a X6, S6, you will be cheaper than a nice discharge bank than in an enclosure. And you will get a better internal resistor. It's not more expensive. This one is the 4S version. You can cycle 2 batteries at the same time. There is a lot of guys on the track run 4 cars. They have 2 iCharger, 2 power supply, 2 discharge bank. With this, you need only one. It's cheaper to have this than to have a discharge bank.
Mm-hmm.
I can show you the 2S version will be very soon available. I can show you the S6. You will see it's way smaller and it's cheaper than the discharge bank. Just 1 minute.
No problem. So I'm going to take a look at some of the message here, guys. Like I said, I've been using this unit. I was at a race this past weekend and used it pretty extensively, and it's definitely a much nicer compact unit. Like I said, I mean, the external discharger and whatnot is obviously a nice setup as well, but this one here is kind of your another alternative for you. Okay, so this is for like your X series.
Yeah, it's cool. Every regenerative discharger is compatible with every iCharger, but I wanted to make smaller in 2S version. Donc you have a smaller battery. Also the AC is shorter. Donc the model is smaller. Donc this, and I wanted to make a version you can put every charger. You have just to change this little part. Donc this one is for the S6, but I have all design. You have just to change this. I have all design to put this one. It's the DX6. And look the size, how it's small.
Okay, so that does answer one of the questions that I did have a hobby shop reach out to us and ask us, was the base for all of the versions, is it based off of the Duo platform, or do they all have their own individual platform?
Alors,
essentially,
on the 4S version, you can see you have the 4 holes. So the base is a 456, 458, 406, 308. You have this is the standard, and you can add the little part on the 4 holes, and you can put every iCharger. On the 4S version, you have every iCharger. And for the 4010 or 4512, we had a bigger plate, a little bigger, to have the bigger charger. But the advantage, if one day you change the charger, you don't need to change the discharger. You have just to buy the new adapter. On the 2S version, I didn't want to put the big duo. I will put only the small duo because the customer will try to cycle 2 batteries at the same time, and you will not kill the discharger, but it will not work. On purpose, on the 2S version, I don't want to propose the big duo. Donc, it's why you don't have the spot to put the duo.
Okay. Well, and I just saw Timothy just wrote a question. Can you buy the adapter plates separately? Is that something that you offer?
Exactly. I didn't put yet on my website because
Okay.
in US more people have the big duo. But yeah, I will add them, and Yeah, it will be very cheap. It's to give the opportunity to if you want to change the charger.
And so then basically from one platform or from one charger to another version. So if you go from a Duo to an X series, they don't have to worry about changing anything other than just the stationary plate that bolts on to the base of the discharger, correct?
Yeah, they need just to do the wire for the new charger because the small charger doesn't come with a wire. I will change on the 4S version. You have the EC8. You have the EC8. On the 2S version, I will put the XT90 because it's smaller and easier to plug. So for now, I put the EC8, but it's too hard for a small charger.
Okay.
Donc
Now,
I will change. The version is ready.
Now, does it hurt the unit to have the battery plugged in like you do with the blue one that you got sitting there? I've noticed I had with the previous model, you always kind of had a procedure that you would you would power the unit down. With this one here, there's no effects in a negative sense with leaving the battery plugged into the base.
It's exactly the same than before. Some people prefer to remove the XT90, but the easier way, you unplug just the balance plug. The balance plug is like a switch on-off.
Okay.
Donc I prefer the XT90 is more hard. I prefer to let the X90. You remove just the balance, it's off. The charger will not turn on.
Okay. So basically, as long as the balance port is plugged in, then it will keep the unit protected as far as like an on and off switch.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was a question that I kind of had myself personally. The unit itself, as far as using it, like I've tried comparing it to, and I've spoke with you a lot on the, like I said, the external dischargers and whatnot. And I think that the more I play with this, I'm understanding the vast differences between them. And just kind of like one of the comments on here that Jeff stated is that he basically said that this is aimed more at the pros, sponsored racers, rather than a weekend hobby racer. And I do agree with what you're saying as far as if you have 2 iChargers, 2 discharge banks, 2 power supplies, this unit here is more cost effective. But for the racer that just wants to go out and play with their grandkids or just get away from reality in general and play with their toy cars, this is not a device that they're going to typically jump onto. Do you offer the regenerative discharger for any other models besides the iChargers, or is it just strictly based around the iCharger itself?
Alors, the problem, there is 2 other brands do regenerative discharge, but they have a lot of bugs I try to work with them, but they are not interested to fix their bug. So my discharger is compatible, their discharger doesn't work. There is a brand HOTA, HOTA.
Okay.
It should be compatible, but the charger doesn't work well. And also, you will never get the internal resistor than the same than the iCharger. Other brand, other discharger, you are more at, the year will be more at 2 for each cell, 2 or more. With my discharger, you can be under 1. Some battery will be at 0.6, 0.7. You have a great battery. We talk about it. I just try your 4S 8400. This one is at 0.6, 0.7. It's a great battery. But for X scale, you can cycle for X scale with this battery.
Yeah, so that was one of the biggest things I did notice with our 8-scale batteries is that the resistance is extremely low, and that's like that's been one of the biggest things that since I've acquired this device, working with our battery company to improve certain areas of where we're currently sitting. Not that we're in a bad state by any means, but I always love to push. Today I want to do this. Tomorrow I want to improve from that, kind of deal. So the 8-scale batteries are definitely rock solid. To a lot of us, myself included, I never focused on the internal resistance. Or let me rephrase that. I didn't focus on how important the lower internal resistance can play a factor in the 8-scale market. A lot of that stuff is more so, charge it, put it in your car and go out and run, but speaking with you, this surprisingly is honestly one of the very first times that we've actually spoke face to face or anything of that such. Everything's always been through emails or texts. And to think that we've been communicating for years now, and this is the first time that we've actually got to talk face to face. It's kind of mind boggling, honestly. But I'm sure that with a lot of the trying to think of the word I'm looking for. I wouldn't say improvements, but the changes that you made from the version 1 to the version 2, is there any kind of parameters that the consumer needs to look at from, like I can use a couple of local hobby shops. I know they have your V1 discharger and they're looking to inquire your V2. Is the setup from the unit itself the same, or is it a different setup from the V1 to the V2?
It's not, the setup will be the same. It's more about the new 456, 458, 4512. The setup change with the buttons, but it's the discharger is the same. You will not get a better internal resistor. But if you have V1 and you are happy, you don't need to change. You can change only for the size and because it's a new design, more nice. But the V2 will not give you a better internal resistor. It's the same. And we talked about if you can, for a family, if you race with your kids, on the 4S version, in 1/10 scale, you can be 2 people on it. If you have already a big duo, you can buy the discharger and use for 2 people.
Now I know that with the version 1, we always had a synchronization port.
Synchronous cable, yeah.
Yeah. So do you not recommend that anymore, or is there just a change in your software that you don't require that?
No, it's always compatible. I didn't make a new video. It's always compatible. I think I put it in my website. It's always compatible. It's more since the pandemic, the battery are less good than before for everyone. Donc, if you want to go at 70 amps, you have to be careful. And don't do cycle at home. You have to do cycle on the track. If you do 2 cycles in a row, you will kill the battery for sure, every brand. It's better to use in a real condition at the track, because at the track, you do a cycle, you go on the podium, you wait for the race, you come back. You will not do the cycle right away. There's a lot of people, you need to watch. You have a lot of minutes of the battery will cool. When you do cycle in the office, you do cycle on cycle and you will kill every battery. Look, I don't recommend to do cycle in the office. It's very dangerous. You will not put the fire, but you will kill the battery for sure.
Okay.
It's really, yeah, I designed to use in a race condition.
Well, and ever since I started using the Rc Discharger, like I said, I went back and forth between the Rc Discharger, the resistor banks, and such, and there is definitely a difference between the two units, even though essentially they both do the same thing. They just do it in different manners and progressions, I guess. One of the things that I had started using was I don't know if you could see it.
Yeah,
is a temperature sensor that just plugs in to your iCharger. Just kind of an added bonus to monitor the temperature to make sure that you don't exceed any high temps, putting the battery in any kind of harm or whatnot. Is that something that you recommend for a lot of the users?
Yes. In France, we sell a lot of temperature sensor. I didn't start to sell the sensor here, but yes, the first day, you have to check the temperature all the day of the battery, just to be sure the battery will be not too hot. Don't exceed 10 C on the battery. If you have a shorty 5000, don't do more than 50 amps. To do 70 amps, it's more on big battery on road. You need to check the temperature. After you will learn, you will see, and each day will be same. But the first day, careful, check the temperature. You need to let cool the battery. You can do 1 cycle at home if you want to try, but you have to let cool the battery to do a storage, let cool the battery, and after you can do again a cycle. Yeah, the temperature is very important.
Okay,
to be sure to not exceed. And I don't recommend to use the lipo warmer bag with the cycle. I have some top driver use it, but careful. It's better to use a temperature sensor. You need to check the temperature to be sure. Don't use the lipo warmer bag the first day when you use the regenerative discharger, you cycle. You need to learn to check the temperature. You don't want to exceed, generally, depend of the brand, it's 130 degrees Fahrenheit on 2S version. It's more 120 degrees Fahrenheit on 4S version. But it depends also of the brand. You need to look the user guide of each brand of battery. I don't know, I don't look what do you recommend on your battery.
Well, I mean, and one of the biggest things to kind of reiterate what you're saying is that between your cycles, you definitely want to allow the battery to rest, cool down, and make sure that the temperatures are not exceeding on the higher levels. And within doing so, what is the time period that you recommend between a cycle and then before you jump into another cycle?
It's more if you do at home. If you do on the track, you don't have really to waste, because when you race, You have to put the battery inside the car. You put the car on the track. You go on the podium. You wait the start of the race. You race your 5, 6, 7 minutes. And after you have to go down the podium to take your cars, and you will watch the next race. So you will have the battery will have 5 minutes to race, 6, 7 minutes to race, and you can right away do a cycle after. On the real condition, you don't have to wait. I did I do 20 cycles per day on the same battery. It's better to use only one battery per car because you don't want the battery to be too cold also. If you have two batteries on the same car, it will be not good. You want always the battery to be warm enough to get the better internal resistor. And I think in US, everyone has only one battery per car. The most of the time. When you do maybe more in off-road, when you race on different category.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, and one of the things that we'll definitely do is we'll get together and we'll write up some of the features and some of the recommendations, and we could post it maybe on your site or on our site that that you recommend for the different cell counts of the batteries. You know, whether it be a 1S, 2S, and so on. Because I know that we talked, and you were saying that between the different batteries, like I said, I've never personally ever really cycled 4S batteries. I've raced e-buggy for quite a many years now, and it's always been one of those scenarios that you know, realistically, it was never a cycle when I was racing. It was always just charge up and then put the battery in the car. So we got Wicked Weekend coming up, and this is something that I'm definitely going to take. And like you and I spoke to, I'm going to talk to Mason Fuller, and I'd like to try this procedure with him and see if he sees a difference, because obviously somebody on the caliper of that driving, they're going to be able to tell the difference of just a traditional charging versus when you do the cycling through the RC Discharger.
I just saw a comment. Someone thinks the AC is not included. Donc, we'll say again, the AC is included. Everything is included. You need just your eye charger and your charge cable.
Go ahead.
I wanted also to show the second battery I tried from you. It's a very good one, the 5700 in 25 millimeter. You can do 45 amps cycle without any problem. It's very good battery, good IR, and no problem to handle the 45 amps.
And I know that one of the things that I was, when I did the unboxing video, was that kind of just got me, was that just so that people that are watching and could see this, that basically this is, I keep pretending like my camera's here. This is your unit minus the battery. And so this is all one complete, I guess, one complete base, and the only part that will come off is the battery itself.
Yes.
Now, do you have that designed on purpose, or is there a reason for that you can, that you can slide the battery out?
No, just because my previous customer since 6 years ago love this design. It's like all-in-one design, and I wanted absolutely to keep this design. I know I have some customer ask me to do different design for travel if you take the plane, but most people love this design. I wanted really to keep this design.
Okay. I'm reading here. Jeff has got a comment here, which I just want to clarify. Definitely, Jeff, we know you're not, questioning the quality or anything of that. So I'm just reading what it is that he is saying. I don't think even the club racer is buying this unless they're getting it at a discount. I got a DX8 that was 300 when it came out. To pair it with this, that's almost 800. That's not even including a power supply, all the connections. Okay, so Jeff, just to kind of touch on that. So basically, this, like we were just saying, this whole unit, the power supply or what, is part of the whole display. So I understand exactly what you're saying as far as the cost of a charger, and then the cost of this. But one thing I will say, being a company that does do battery sales, this unit by itself is definitely not a cheap endeavor right here. So this is a huge cost of the aspect. And then, like I said, there is no purchase of a power supply needed with this version 2. But you are right. It does add up. It is more on the expensive side. But at some of these bigger races, I have seen guys buy 10 batteries at once and literally do one race and throw the battery away. So I think it's to each is to own kind of deal. There is a niche for these out in the market and in the industry for these certain racers that do want to take their battery charging to the next level. But you're right. For a club racer, I'm not sitting here trying to push that. I think that it does have a lot of benefits and whatnot. I think it does help with the health of your batteries, but it's not for everybody, for sure. I agree with you there.
Alors, just to finish on that, it's because we talk tonight, we talk about the 4S version. The 4S version is not like a duo with a discharge bank. The 4S version is like 2 duo, 2 power supply, 2 discharge bank. If you take the 2S version with a S6, you are cheaper than a power supply, a duo, and a discharge bank with enclosure.
Now, which version is that one that you have in your hand right now?
This is the 2S version. It's the same. It's only for one battery at one time. Yeah. You can do this. It's exactly the same than a high charger duo at $300, the power supply at $100, and a discharge bank at $100 if you want a discharge bank. This setup is less expensive and you get a better internal resistor. The regenerative discharger is cheaper than the discharge bank. It's not more expensive. It's because tonight we talk about the 4S version. The 4S version is for 1/8 scale or 2 people in 2S.
Okay, so you're basically saying, so with one of the things that I definitely did want to touch on that I'm glad you brought it up was that a lot of people, when you I can't speak for your website, but I can speak on ours, that when they see that it is a 4S, they assume that this is intended for 4S charging only, when realistically what you are labeling it as is that you can do 1 2S, or you can do two. You can basically do 2 2S's or 1 4S, correct?
Exactly.
And then the unit that you got in your hand is strictly for 1S and 2S batteries?
Exactly. 1S at one. If you have the DX6, you can do 1S at 50 amps or a 2S with every high charger at 40 amps. 40 amps on the S6 or 32 on the DX6.
And when can the customers expect to see the optional plates that you have for your different size chargers from the X series, S series? When will those be available on your website?
I can add tonight. Let me 1 minute. I will take them.
I appreciate you guys jumping on here. Like I said, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of hype and a lot of questions behind this unit. And a lot still that I'm learning about it. So I apologize that I can't be any more helpful, but I definitely will work with Ralphie, and we'll get some information out on the web that's not already even out there. And if you guys have any questions or whatnot as we move forward, just shoot me a message, shoot him a message, and we'll definitely get your questions answered. Because like I said, I mean, every time I use this, I learn a little bit more about it, and I don't want to sit here and say that this is the only way to charge. But I do want to say that I think that this, in business, this gives you your great A, B, and C options. And for those that want to, have a reason or are willing to spend the extra money for this, it is a great purchase. And for those that do not, I completely support you and understand, because everybody in this industry has a different, this is a different value to them. Some of these guys that make a living out of this might be a great option for them. And then for the guys that just want to go out and play, and they are literally just going out to beat around with their buddies and whatnot, this may not be for you. So definitely understand and appreciate all the questions and the about around the unit, I guess you could say. So I'd love to get one, but it gets up there. Yep.
Alors, this is the adapter for the 4010 or 4512. Look, you need to remove the both screws, and I give 4 small little screws, and you put it back the screws here. And this is to put the 4010 or the 4512 duo.
Okay,
so very small. It will be, I will add on the website. You see, look, yeah, the S6 version. Look, you screw that with four little screws, and you have your S6. The DX6 version, same, always the same holes. You screw that, and you have your DX6.
I mean, one of the biggest things I will say though is, because you get a lot of mixed reviews, and nobody's knocking the product by any means. A lot of them are just stating that this might be not out of the price range of what they're looking at spending and whatnot. And that, like I said, that is completely understandable for everybody. But I will, tell you that I give you a lot of credit for the design of the of this unit and whatnot. To be doing this as a single individual, a father, and doing it out of your house, I mean, it's quite impressive. I mean, like I said, you and I bought one of these from you a couple years back, and it was great, and I loved it. And then obviously you kind of, just like you said, took a hiatus and stepped away, and in that short period of time, there was a lot of people that would bring it to my attention. Hey, is do you know, is RC Discharger coming back? Are they still around? And you and I kind of would talk here and there. So I knew that there was definitely some possibility on the horizons, but to do what you've done, I got to give you a huge pat on your back, because this is something that I could not do. And that you've done this, and it's like I said, it's a extremely nice compact design, and the technical aspects of it, like I said, every time I use it, I learn more and more each day. So I don't think anyone here is knocking what the unit does, more so just, hey, look, sometimes unfortunately this may not be in the cards. and I don't want to spend that kind of money on this. This is just a low budget hobby for me to go play with my grandkids or whatever have you. And you know what? I definitely gotta respect that as well. Jim's definitely saying all the credit to you and giving you a pat on the back. Greg's asking, is the battery okay? So Greg, when you're asking, are you asking if the regenerative battery itself that is in it,
Yeah,
is it
yeah.
in it? He's asking if it's in a liposafe, and it is not. It's just in a.
I will do the option because in North America, few people ask me on the duo version. Donc I did the option before. Donc I will redo the version. In Europe, we sell it only with the lipo bag. In Europe, they want the lipo bag. Donc it will be an option, not too expensive. Just I need to change the fit and to give the lipo bag, and it will be an option. It will be available soon. But 99% in US they don't want the lipo bag, and I like to not have the lipo bag because you want to keep the battery the more cool possible. People want the lipo bag to think they are more safe, but the battery will be more hot. It's not more safe to warm the battery.
Well,
My opinion, and it's in US nobody wants the lipo bag almost.
Well, and one of the things that I will say that you and I were touching about as far as keeping ventilation to the battery, keeping the battery at an optimum temperature, not letting it exceed a certain temperature and whatnot. What is your recommendation when you do go to these events, where some of these events here in the United States, which to be quite honest with you, I support them 100%, and I think that it probably should be it should be monitored more, is liposafe, liposafety, using liposacs and stuff like that. So when people, for example, if I go to an event with this and Scotty Ernst, I'll use him. He is very adamant about lipo charging bags, and that if he sees you without one, he does kind of enforce you to put it in that. What is your recommendation for that approach? Because like I said, I know that upon a lot of our emails, our text messages, you have it on a very tight regiment of what you want, with like where we were talking about putting stuff under the bottom of the battery, keeping it off of the table so that air can circulate on the top and bottom. How do you handle that approach for these racers that are held accountable for putting their batteries in lipo bags, or for the ones that just for a personal reason they feel safe that they need to put it in there? Is that where you feel that the temp sensor is a must?
Yeah, I will sell it very soon, the temperature sensor. Alors, to use a lipo, we have a lot of racers will use the lipo bag to cycle. It's not to protect about fire. It's because the lipo bag will keep the warmth, the heat, and you will get a better internal restore if you put your battery in the lipo bag. The most, I don't know, in my track, we don't use lipo bag. When we do, it's because we want a better internal restore. I think it's the point of the track where you race, and it's on road, off road. I don't know. If you need the lipo bag, put the lipo bag, but you have to be more careful. The battery will be more hot. You need to check more the temperature, and maybe you have to cycle little less. When you do cycle, we don't have really problem in US, but when you do cycle, you want, like when you will race or practice, you want to do like in race. You don't want to use 100% of the battery on the car, because to do cycle, to warm the battery, you need to discharge. When you cycle, you discharge. And if the battery is empty, there is nothing to discharge. You will not warm the battery at the discharge, And so when you will do the cycle, you will discharge nothing because the battery will be empty. And after, you will charge the full battery at the fast speed, 45 amps, 70 amps, and you will kill the battery. To protect the battery, you need to warm the battery during the discharge. It's very important to have a good size on your battery on your car, to have after your race, to have around 50% left in your battery to do cycle after, to warm enough the battery, but not too much for the cycle to get the best internal restart. For practice, we have more problem in France. They want to use 100% of the battery. And after they want to cycle, it doesn't work. Yeah, you kill your battery. You need to do, when you practice with that, you need to do like in race. You run 5 to 7 minutes maximum. You need to have a big battery. In France, it's weird because in France, the tracks are bigger. We have bigger capacity in France. We have more 10,000 milliamps in the battery. And in 8 scale on road, at the end of the race, they have only 10% of the battery left to do cycle. It's the minimum 10%. You need to warm the battery for the cycle during the discharge to protect the battery. And I wanted, you give an example, you say there is guys will buy 10 batteries and put after one race the batteries in the trash. With the discharger, you will, if you use correctly, like in race, you will protect your battery. You will have a better life on your battery. You will save a lot of money. In 8 scale, they change when you draw a lot of amps. In 8 scale, they change the battery like every 6 months. In France, I don't know exactly in US because it's not the same track. But in France, they need to change the battery every 6 months. When you use my discharger, you save money. After 1 year, the battery will be always good. In 8 scale, it's cheaper to have the discharger than to buy 4 pairs of battery every 6 months. You will save money on battery. And after 1 year, you will always have the same internal restore. You don't lose any power if you respect temperature and the utilization. But at a race condition, there is like no risk because you use 50% for the race, you cycle with 50% of the battery left. It's very easy.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm done. Sorry.
No, and that's one of the things. So currently, kind of to touch on what you're saying, currently, I'm looking at upgrading the batteries in my golf cart. And even though I know what the upgrade from one battery to the other battery does, it still is a expensive expenditure for you to go from, in this case, a lead acid battery to a lithium battery. You know, it is a cost-effective initial cost. So I think that the reason I'm talking that is it is a comparative in the sense of that, like I said, for myself included, every time that you and I talk, I learn more and more about this unit. But one of the aspects that you're stating is that with this unit doing the method of charging, that here in the United States, the average life expectancy of an 8-scale battery is a 6-month period. Obviously, depending on how much the racer utilizes it, how they store it. I mean, I've had guys that have bought batteries and they want to warranty the battery, and they're like, "Oh, I've only used it once." Well, batteries are, you know, I mean, when I first started in this industry, the company that I worked at, they first did not do any of the when you get new batteries, pull the old ones forward and put the new ones to the back. Unlike motors, batteries are like a produce. They do have a shelf life. They do have a life of an expectancy. So whether you charge a battery once or you charge it 100 times, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. If you charge a battery one time and you let it sit for 2 years, you can't really expect the battery to be in great condition. Where one of the things that you're saying with this device itself is that it does extend the health and the longevity of the battery with this charging method of the RC Discharger, correct?
Yeah, exactly. It's more to cycling. It's not really. We get a better internal restore. Yeah, because the efficiency is way better. You protect the life of the battery. We have every customer keep more their battery. You can do with the discharger, you can do than more 1,000 cycle on the battery, and the battery will be the same. You will see no difference after 1,000 of cycle. I had a customer after 600 cycle, he said, "Oh, maybe I have to buy a new battery." He took a new battery. He didn't want to use it. Now he's at almost 900 cycles, and he didn't use yet the new battery. He has just the new battery. We never know if he got a problem on the first one, but he did also 1,000 cycle. And if you look my utilization, I do minimum 20 cycle per day every week. It's like 50 weeks, it's like 1,000 cycle per year. And the battery is always like new. You change every year of the battery because you want the last generation of battery, but not because the battery is dead.
Well, I mean, and like I said, I mean, you brought a whole nother light to lipo cycling, the life expectancy. There's all kinds of things that come into play when you with this particular unit, the procedures and whatnot. And I mean, Brady says it best. It's an amazing product. You've perfected it. This is for your racer, backyard basher, maybe not so much, but it is a great device for the racers going heads to head on a weekly basis on a national level. And for those that are gadget lovers and whatnot, there's definitely a lot to do with this device that's not just necessarily based around the performance side, the durability, the safety of the battery. It's something that I definitely want to talk with you about more so and get it onto our website from that aspect, because there's still, like I said, a lot more that I would really love to learn and whatnot. You know, we're obviously kind of getting low on time and whatnot, so I'm going to kind of go through a couple questions that we did not get to touch on and get them answered, and then maybe you and I can get together and we can get some more features, facts, recommendations for consumers that you know, are willing to, you know, spend the money, because even with the show tonight, I didn't realize how much that you emphasize. And now that I think back as we sit here and we talk and I and whatnot, how much you emphasize that on the 8 scale side of things, it's not so much about the performance as it is the longevity, the safety and everything of the battery. I think that that's where I was looking at it in a different manner. Am I kind of touching on it correctly, or am I way off base?
No, it's exactly that. But the track are completely different between Europe and US. In on-road, we have a bigger track. It's why we need bigger battery. Look, yeah, it can be little different to use the discharger and the battery. But in Europe, in 8 scale, every driver with the discharger are 1 second faster minimum per lap. It's crazy. You have in 8 scale, you need more power. You have to do nothing. You don't need to put less power on the ESC. You don't need to change the setup of the ESC. You don't need to touch the motor. You change nothing. You take the discharger, you protect your battery, and you are way faster in 8 scale. In 8 scale in Europe, it's crazy. Everyone, it works at the first day. I think we should also to do like we did in France. We did live with users. I think it's very important to get driver and customer to talk about the feeling, about the experience, to have a real opinion from customer, not my side on manufacturer. I am more passionate than I am not a big brand. I'm just passionate. I did the discharger, but I think it's important also to ask the customer and driver to participate at the lives next time we can do. To give the feeling. If you saw Matthew Gonzalez, I sponsor him last week. He received the discharger Friday night. After 2 cycles in 1/10 scale off-road, he was already 0 to second faster per lap. It's not only 1 lap. He did few laps faster by 0 to second per lap. The second day, the Saturday, he was again 0.1 second faster. It was his best time. He did his best time with the discharger. I think it's important. We need to get the feeling and to have the driver to explain the feeling and the difference. How Matthew had to change the setup a little on the ESC. I think we need to share that to help a customer to use correctly the system. And in 10 scale, you don't want really in stock, you want more power, but not in mod. We had in France in 2021, we had a champion of France in touring car, Elite, mod. It's a lot of work to use it in mod. Because you will get too much power. You need to work on the motor, on the gear, on the ESC to lose power. But he won the race. He was the champion of France in 2021 because at the last 30 seconds, everyone lose power, not him. He passed the first guy in the last 30 seconds because the battery was more consistent with Rc Discharger. Donc we have a lot of works in US to work on mod, on 8 scale, to show how we need to use it. It works everywhere. We have also a customer in Europe. We do a glider, electric glider. We do the champion of world, the championship of world, and you have to with the glider you need to go up the faster, and with the discharger, I don't remember exactly, but maybe is like a 2 seconds, maybe 10 seconds faster. I still a mistake. I don't remember exactly, but it's way faster in electric glider. It's worked for everything. You can use in drone, in plane, boats, for everything you want to race. We have just to put the good setup on the ESC motor and to use correctly the discharger.
Well, while you're explaining all that, I was scrolling back through and reading all the comments and messages and questions, and a couple of them which we had already tucked on it. Jim and Jeff talk about lipo bags and the requirement of using them in Australia. I will say, whether it steps on the toes of Rc Discharger or not, I am 100% behind lipo safety. Years and years and years ago, actually, when I first got one of these units from you, I met a racer at an event, and one of the people at this event got hurt from a lipo battery catching on fire. So I definitely am a huge supporter and definitely push lipo safety towards people. So for the guys that obviously are talking about using lipo bags, you'll never, unfortunately, get me to say that lipo bags are not good and you should not use them. But I definitely do recommend that when you do use a lipo bag, obviously it does contain heat. It doesn't exhaust very well. So I think that just like what we were talking about with the with the temperature sensor. Another thing is just to monitor it yourself, to keep an eye on it and make sure that you're not doing anything, on the extreme. But I will say though, utilizing the temp sensor definitely does make, it definitely makes me feel a little bit more at ease, even though it is just it's just a precautionary device. It's not going to extinguish anything or anything of that matter, but it does definitely give you an added step for protecting yourself, the people around you, your equipment, all the other stuff. Because I've had lipo fires where I've seen them on other people's areas. They've happened to myself. And it can be a very costly issue, or it can also be very damaging to yourself if you I've unfortunately just by reaction grabbed stuff and burnt my hands and stuff, but it's unfortunately, I put myself in that situation. So I definitely
I am completely agree with the safety for the lipo bag. I said just careful with the lipo bag because the battery will get more warm. You have just to check more the temperature. You have to check. It's better for safety to have the lipo bag, but careful if you do 45 amps in the lipo bag, it can be too hot. You have just maybe start at 30. Start the cycle maybe at 30 amps, 35, 40 amps, 45 amps, and check the temperature each time if you can go at 45 amps in the lipo bag.
Well, and something that I didn't even know that Jim actually just made a comment on is that he's saying in Australia, discharge banks and anything like that are prohibited. That's definitely news to me. So definitely appreciate you jumping on, Jim, even though this isn't obviously a product that you can kind of jump on, obviously, with the restrictions that you have in Australia. But Greg does have a question here. For 1S, would it be better to get a 4S discharger so that the regenerative action would be easier on the okay, so he's basically asking, would he's wanting to charge 1S, would it be better to get the 4S so that it's easier on the battery versus the 2S discharger? Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it will be the same. 2S or 4S version, it change nothing. For him, it will change nothing. Yeah, the 4S version can handle a bigger battery because it's a bigger version. But for 1S, you can take the 2S version, change nothing.
Wow. So, I mean, one of the biggest things that I've taken away from the last couple of weeks is that realistically, this battery is not really under any kind of heavy load or in a stressful state during a cycle or a charge or a discharge, correct?
Sorry, I did not hear.
No, I was basically saying that during a cycle or a charge or a discharge, the battery that you use for the regenerative aspect, does it ever get put under an extensive load, or is it pretty much in a stress-free situation?
No, it's more extreme on this battery than your battery of the car. It's why it took me 2 years to try a lot of batteries and manufacturer, because the battery of your car, you will use it for 5 minutes. The battery of the discharger need to work all day, and you need to keep the battery cool. Donc it's more extreme on the discharger than on your car. It's not at all. You can take the best battery for car. The battery for car will be not good enough for the discharger. It's not the same use. It's not the same specification.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Jim says, you can use them at home, but you can't use them at the track. And then he also says, It's just the fact that you have to discharge at a high rate. Okay. So basically, they're prohibited because of the high rate discharge. So they just prohibit them at the track. But when you're obviously in the confines of your personal space at home, you can do whatever you please. Well,
when I saw the comment of Jim, I think about a guy contact me because there is several track that don't have enough power for a race when they do a big race, and the breaker will break. I don't know how to say in English exactly, but they will have a lot of problem of breaker. And like every week, I talk with the guy, and the advantage of this discharger, because you save the energy from the discharge, and you will reuse this energy. You will use less power than the discharge bank. And I will work with this track. They would like the discharger for everyone because today they can do to modify the electricity because it's way too expensive. They need to open the street, and it's a lot of money to get more power for the track. And he contacted me for that because my discharger can help to not have a big draw, big amps, because we save the energy and we reuse the energy for the charge. So it can be a lot of, it can save a lot of track. There is a lot of race also. You can cycle at 40 amps. It's not for safety, just because it doesn't have the power to let drivers to cycle at 40 amps. So it's my goal in the next few months to contact the track for the race. They have this problem to let them try the discharger to see if it fixes the problem.
I was just reading what David said. So David basically, David made a comment saying you don't need this to use it for max amp charging. This can also serve as a battery backup if you're at a track with spotty power.
Yeah.
Is that something that you agree with?
Alors, the style of this battery, you can't use it without power all day. When you have a bad power, it will help because we reuse the energy, we save the energy, we don't waste the energy. It should be help for the track with bad power. But it's not like you go at the track without power. No. I designed this discharger to have power all day, but you will save power.
Well, and I think what he's basically saying is like I've been at a couple of tracks where, you know, the race announcers or anybody they state, hey guys, let's keep this to if it's cold out, no heaters. You know, exactly. if it's hot out, let's keep the fans to a minimum. Let's keep, you know, let's use this for the necessities. So you'll get these power surges or you'll get a breaker that'll trip real quick. I mean, there's been times where I've walked away to help a customer, came back right before my race and realized that the breaker tripped and now my battery that should have been charged is not completely charged. Will this make up for those circumstances or is that damaging to the unit itself?
Oh no, the unit is for that exactly. You will save power. No, the unit, if you lose the power, it's okay for the unit. You will not break the unit. There is no problem. And he can fix, he should contact me to talk about it because he can fix a lot of problem of power for a lot of tracks.
I mean, I know that when you came out with the very first unit, not saying I don't condone this, I'm not saying this, but I had a couple buddies and I literally walked up to them with this in my hand and a battery with the cable, charging a battery, and they were just like, you know, freaking out. And I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
You know, but obviously, like I said, that was that was me just goofing around with my buddies and whatnot. So, yeah, David says exactly. So yeah, so that's what he was meaning. He just was basically stating that this is it's a no different than a battery backup for a hospital or anything of that such. It just kind of protects you in an instant situation where a breaker flips, and your power supply does lose, obviously lose voltage, and then next thing you know, you're getting ready to go up to the track with a half or 3/4 charge battery instead of a fully charged battery. So
but the discharger will help. The discharger will help to not flip the breaker.
All right, just looking here.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we have a 10-degree ambient room temperature here in the United States, Jim. So I think that's about it, guys. So I will get on with I'll get on with you, and we'll get some information typed up and get it to our website. I am just aware that you one of the customers mentioned on here that you offer free shipping on your devices. We're going to honor that and do the same thing on ours, so that there's no competition. We're trying to work together. I'm trying to help promote your products here on the East Coast, and amongst any of our racers and such. I do believe that this unit does have its upsides. And obviously the only downside that I can see is that it is a costly device, but it's not really so much about the device. It's just the whole in general. I mean, the LiPo battery I know is not a cheap expenditure. Your time invested and stuff like that. And just like you said, if you get the 4S version, it's the mathematics of 2 iChargers, 2 discharge banks, and 2 power supplies. Or, well, you could still technically use 1 power supply, but that adds up. So it's really just how you slice it. For the guys that want this, it is a phenomenal unit. Highly recommend it. And for those that do not, that is fine. There's obviously cheaper alternatives, but you're definitely not going to get some of the pros that come with what the RC Discharger offers. So definitely want to appreciate you, Waldorf, for getting on, taking your time to help us educate some of the racers, the customers, and myself. I do feel that we left a lot that's still on the table, but I think that if we keep working together, we can help educate guys. And if you can keep educating myself, I will definitely pass it on when we're at the tracks together. And anyone that's at a track and I'm there, if I have this with me, which most likely I will, come up. I'll give you a display. I'll show you how this works. Because like I said, I think this is one of those devices that if you don't have it, you don't think you need it. But when you get it, you're kind of like, wow, this does have a lot of features that you like. I mean, myself included, I think there's times where, if you forget it and you have your charger and stuff, it's not the end of the world, but this is a nice device to have. And I definitely will help anybody trackside if you have any questions about it and whatnot. Like I said, every time that Waldorf and I talk, I learn a lot more about it. And that's kind of why we help promote this. Is I don't think that there's a such thing as learning too much about batteries, battery safety, battery performance. So obviously a couple of weeks ago we had the battery wizard on, and that device has no conflict with this. That's more of a testing device that tells you about your battery from a runtime aspect. It's very popular in the on-road industry, where this more so is a conditioning for your battery, helps with the longevity of your battery, and obviously it's a charging cycling system. So you know, we will always here at Team Exalt push for any kind of battery performance, safety, and such. So, like I said, this is something that is on rcdischargers.com, Team Exalt, and I will go back like always and review any questions that we skipped over, but I really don't see anything that we missed. Is there anything that you want to kind of touch on in closing, boss?
Alors, just the last comment about the Australia, because I didn't say it, but the AC, it works everywhere in the world. It take all voltage.
Does this include?
Yeah, I don't know the voltage in Australia, but I wanted to say the AC works for all voltage everywhere. It was one request of myself to make the AC. I wanted, because there is a lot of driver travel between countries, I wanted the product worked everywhere.
And Jim, I'll get with Speedy RC and see maybe if we can work something out with them to get a couple of them in their stock, and maybe you guys, like I said, could try it and whatnot. I definitely believe that there's a lot of positivity behind this. Rodolphe has spent a lot of time, and I commend him on everything that he's done, as I do for anybody else that we bring onto this show. This is intended to, we'll crack up, have a good old time, but realistically, the intention behind this podcast, or whatever you want to call it, is to help educate the racers of new products, product safety, product performance, stuff, anything that can help us educate the racers, because at the end of the day, it's part of our job, and it's one of the aspects that I absolutely love to do. So, what's up, boss? So, hey, Kevin, I just joined the cast. Can this discharger do it?
Yeah, it's up to 4S. It's a 1S, 2 4S. It can be, yeah, it can be 1S and a 2S or 2S. It's up to 4S.
Yeah, and I agree. When you stop learning, you stop improving 100%. And like I said, that's part of it. It's not only for us to sell products, but it's also for us to educate the racers, educate ourselves, and in the process, let's have some fun and share some good laughs. So definitely appreciate everybody jumping on. Kind of ran a lot longer than I expected, but long as you guys got some information out of this, and you guys got any more questions, hit us up. In this, I'll tag your email, Rodolphe, and I'll put my email in there. And you guys got any questions, hit us up on Facebook or shoot us an email, give us a call at Team Exalt, whatever. And, we'll keep on plugging away and keep on moving as things change and technology improves. We'll keep doing the same here. So definitely appreciate you jumping on, boss, and taking some time. And if there's anything that we can do to keep pushing for the RC Discharger and such, we're going to keep doing so, because I definitely commend you for the product that you've developed, and I appreciate the friendship that we've acquired throughout this as well. So I appreciate everybody, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks. We'll do another show. And look forward tomorrow on Team Exalt. We're going to be dropping a couple new products, a couple new things that we are releasing on our website. And if anybody needs it, we've got the RC Dischargers on rcdischarger.com and Team Exalt. So appreciate it. And everybody have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye. Good evening.